Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Apron Bumps Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the Bracer himself, Braden Mayhew, along with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Gabe Nozid. It's a busy weekend. It is SummerSlam weekend, and of course, they decided to do a takeover on this weekend, so we, of course, predicted that in the last episode, and now we are about to do the same for the show that's going to take place tomorrow night, August 23rd. It is SummerSlam 2020. And a decent little card. I mean, well, it's going to be the first pay-per-view to take place in the Thunderdome. Did you see any of that Thunderdome stuff, Gabe?
I was on. Well, I don't have cable here, so I'm not able to really watch Raw, SmackDown.
I was more meaning that you see any YouTube clips or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So I saw a YouTube clip of Vince McMahon confronting Bray Wyatt, and before he did that, he introduced the Thunderdome, and I'm like, oh, it's a nice arena, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's a decent setup. It's decent.
I mean, as long as we're not able to go in there, what's the big hoopla, or anyone in general? So I mean, it looks nice. That's all I can say. So
yeah, it was kind of different seeing all these people with blank faces on a webcam. Essentially,
I was confused.
Staring,
how did they get those people? I was wondering, could I be there to get my face there?
I have no idea. I don't know how they did it. Was it just do they just have that many connections that people just sent in video? I have no idea. But anyway, it was
maybe it's already pre-recorded. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was weird.
It was interesting though, and all that. Yeah. And I mean, I think they piped in crowd noise, which is decent. I mean, especially if to make the shows a little more. Because there was an era, Gabe, where on SmackDown they piped in crowd noise constantly in the edit, because they used to tape it on Tuesday and air it on Friday, and SmackDown was notorious for the canned heat that WWE would edit in. But I think in this day and age with the pandemic and all that sort of stuff, you're not gonna have real people. I don't think crowd sweetening is the worst thing that they could be doing. I mean, it kind of
I understand. Whatever, when the Edge Orton match happened,
that had perfect crowd sweetening in my opinion. It actually added to the bout, in my opinion, and I thought that was a great match.
It made it much better and entertaining. So
anyway,
that, I think
yeah. So anyway, Mr. Brandon Moyes has some stuff to do, but he wants to talk about a couple matches. So we're gonna try and see if we can get him on. He wants to talk about Dominik Mysterio, because we can't just call him his last name. He's got to be Rey Mysterio's son, so he's got to be Dominik Mysterio is his ring name. His debut match ever, his first pro match ever on national pay-per-view against Seth Rollins. Brandon wants to talk about that match, and of course what I presume to be the main event WWE title match between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. However, if we can't get a hold of him, me and Gabe will just hold the fort down for the whole sort of deal. I mean, we're doing the majority of the card anyway, so we'll see if we can get a hold of him as we get to those bouts, and if we do not, then me and Gabe will just go on and do our thing. So I'm going to start off with the United States Championship match, because I believe there's no pre-show or kickoff match for this pay-per-view yet. But they
really,
not yet. But but
NXT has it.
they've made a habit of just knocking something from the main card to the kickoff hours before SummerSlam goes on the air. So I'm assuming poor Apollo Crews and MVP are probably going to have that fate. They're not on the pre-show yet, but I'm going to assume they're going to get booted to the kickoff, because this pay-per-view does not have a kickoff thus far, and they always do a ridiculous hour-long pre-show before the main card starts, and if there hasn't been a pre-show match announced, which is what hasn't happened, it's just one of the card matches that's been announced ends up getting bumped to before the actual pay-per-view main card. So I believe Mr. Cruz and MVP are going to be the unfortunate recipients of being bumped from the main card and sacrificed for the kickoff, but what can you do? And so yeah, the U.S. title, for whatever reason, got redesigned this year after Apollo Crews won it. They had MVP trot with the new belt and pretend to be champion for a long time, and then I think Apollo beat him once, and so of course they got to do the match again. Apollo beats the guy, but I guess you got nothing to do here. It's funny, I could have swore MVP was trying to be an agent or something. It seemed like he was about to retire. He had that match with Rey Mysterio after the Royal Rumble, and now he's just an in-ring competitor every week, And now he's got this faction with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. It's
how's that going?
It's nothing special. It's three guys.
It sounds special.
It sounds special, does it, or not? It's just three guys.
It does.
It's just three guys together. MVP does the talking, and I mean, Lashley and Shelton, they're still mid-carders, man. Like, they're not, their elevation on the card has not, like, gotten, I mean, Shelton's gotten a few 24/7 title reigns, but that means fuck all since joining this little
that's
group.
right.
And Bobby Lashley has been where he's been for, like, over 2 years now. And you would think, like, I thought they had big plans for him when they brought him back in 2018, and they've done nothing of note with him at all. He's just a dude in the mid card, just a dude. So, in the lead up to this match, Apollo won some sort of bout that made sure that Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are barred from ringside, so they will not be in MVP's corner for this bout to help him out. So MVP's got to rely on, I guess, his own wits and his own tactics to try and win the belt. But I think this is just, it's going to be what it is. I don't expect anything. I think Apollo Crews is a good athlete, but like MVP, he's getting older. He doesn't have the mobility that he used to. I'm not going to say he's limited, but like he ain't the MVP from 2008 or whatever, where he was feuding with like Matt Hardy and having his own very important United States title reign where he almost held it for a year. I don't expect this to be anything all that good. I expect an average match and Crews to retain in the end. And as I said, I expect it to get bumped to the pre-show sometime tomorrow afternoon. What about you, Gabe? What do you think?
I think it's gonna be Crews, since you said this feud is nothing like too legitimate, right?
Nah,
So
it's just there.
Yeah, Crews is a champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think he's just gonna retain it. And it's only MVP, so I mean I don't think anything special of it. But I really think this trio could be something if they invest in it. Like, Legato, I think that's coming, like that's rising up really quickly. So I think MVP's little posse there could be in the same caliber as that, but I don't know why it's not, because it's three like mid carders that could be main carders if they were like taken seriously, especially Bobby Lashley. I'm surprised he's been doing nothing for the past couple of years. And
like nothing of note. Like he's done stuff, but it's been like nothing you would expect that they would sign him for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I would expect him to be a lot more important matches that he has.
Especially since he came back for Brock Lesnar. Now, I'm not a big Brock Lesnar type of guy, but that's one opponent I'd like to see him face. What's his name? Is Bobby Lashley. So it's sad that he came back from the Indies, better than he was before in WWE. So it's just kind of weird. He's been putting really weird storylines and
paychecks must be great.
Factions. Yeah, I guess so.
So
So,
maybe
Apollo Crews.
Yeah, you're gonna go with Crews too. I think it's an easy retention for the United States champion, and maybe after the match, Lashley will keep the heat for the group and put Crews in the full Nelson, and maybe it'll be Bobby Lashley that goes after Crews for the belt after this, after MVP's failed at his 2 shots at it. So maybe they just continue it, but MVP isn't the challenger; he's more the manager, and they give Bobby Lashley some time against Apollo Crews after this match. You know what I mean? Maybe that's where they're going to go. I can actually see that being, quite.
I mean, who knows
possible.
where it's going to go, because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't. But, it is a mid-card championship match currently scheduled for the pay-per-view. But mark my words, everybody, it'll probably get bumped to the kickoff sometime tomorrow afternoon before the pay-per-view airs. So then we're going to go to what I believe could be the actual opener for the main show. And, I'm just going to go with it because I think they got to separate the amount of time for Asuka. But Bayley lost a Beat the Clock challenge last night on SmackDown, and that means she has to defend her title before Sasha Banks does. And they both are defending against Asuka on this very show tomorrow. So Bayley's got to defend her belt first. So I have an opinion about this, and that Asuka and Bayley could be the women's championship match, the first one on the card, so that they could save the Sasha and Asuka match for later. But it gives Asuka a decent break between first and second title matches. You know what I mean? So it gives her a decent amount of time of rest before she got to go out and perform again. So this all started when Bayley and Sasha kind of became the 2-gal power trip. So Sasha somehow ended up schmoozing her way into a championship program with Asuka, and with Bayley's help, pretty much ended up taking the Raw Women's title from Asuka, which made me very sad because it's like, wow, what a run she had Now Sasha Banks, with the most ridiculous heel tactics ever, has gained the belt. But I
Yeah,
figure,
how long was that run, by the way? Because
okay,
I
so
was gone when she changed the
I don't
title
know,
to.
maybe 2 months max, 60
Wow.
days, not long. So, but now with her being so she ended up winning a number one contenders match to face Sasha again for a rematch. But then they also held a tri-branded battle royal to determine Bayley's challenger for the women's championship as well, and Asuka won that. So she ended up within a couple weeks span getting 2 title matches against the Golden Role Models. So I think this is where Asuka hopefully gets her babyface revenge, and it's the beginning of her winning 2 belts like Becky Lynch did. So I expect this match to be very good. They had both Bayley and Asuka have had a history in NXT. In fact, it was Asuka who took the women's championship from Bayley in NXT back in the day. Back in the day, I talk like it's so long ago. It's like 4 years ago that happened. Maybe ancient in terms of WWE memory bank, but they do have history there from NXT. And Bayley basically cost her the red belt, so it makes sense for her to beat Bayley finally after Bayley has this ridiculously long 315 plus day title reign. Asuka wins her first belt, and that leaves you wondering, will she win the second one later in the night? But I expect this match to be very good. Asuka on the main roster, it's always these Japanese workers. They're always these Japanese gals are just next level.
They're very hard working.
Yeah.
They're innovative. Like, I don't know what. Most of these moves in wrestling is because of Joshi wrestlers. Like, it's crazy. Like the air raid crash, that was done by a Joshi wrestler. That's I never thought about that before, but these moves are very innovative because of Joshi wrestling. So I have a lot of respect for Japanese women wrestling, and
the Japanese.
So yeah,
women's
Asuka
work,
is
she's
Asuka's the face of it right now.
Yeah, well, I'd say she on the main roster is the best women's worker by far, and it's not even a competition. So, and Bayley is no slouch. She's very good. So you put those 2 gals together, and there's a clear babyface and a clear heel. The babyface got fucked out of her 1 belt by this other champion, and now she wants revenge. And this could be very good, and I think it's a great first match to put on as the opener for this pay-per-view. And I'm going to go with the right booking, and I will also talk about when Asuka gets her second title match. But I think Asuka should get her revenge and end Bayley's reign, and that keeps you wondering, oh, well, will she win a second belt later in the night? I'm going with Asuka to take the title here. What do you think, though, Gabe?
Okay, so here's my prediction. This is going to be the SummerSlam moment of 2020. Okay, Asuka, I think she'll win this match against Bayley, but they're going to do a Chris Jericho. They're going to have, I guess, Sasha come right after. I think the Sasha match is going to happen right after Bayley loses or wins, whatever. I think Bayley's going to lose, and then Asuka is going to beat Sasha.
Oh, so you think they do these back to back? I think that's actually they might do that. To be honest,
I think they're going to do a whole Chris Jericho undisputed title victory for Asuka.
Then should I put this later in the show then, or do you think it would be more effective if they did it right at the beginning?
I feel like this will be. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be at the end, I believe. Because
so they'll save
that's just how I feel
save kind of Bayley and Asuka in a co-main spot, but since the only 2 matches left are also Sasha and Asuka, and obviously Drew and Orton, they'll just have Sasha come out and they'll do both matches back to back in a co-main spot.
Yes, yeah. I believe there's a lot of storylines that could develop from this too. Obviously Sasha and Bayley, they always have their small discourses, so it's just interesting to see what could happen next. If Bayley does lose, and then Sasha does lose as well, and then we don't know what could happen after that. And then they're still tag team champions, correct? So
it's still the women's tag.
It's So their feud could eventually evolve from losing the main titles, and then they're gonna have some discourse with the tag team belts and lose that, and then a feud in the main roster once and for all with Bayley and Sasha, because they had greatness in NXT, as everyone knows. But we've never seen them really feud in the main roster. So I believe Asuka is gonna have that Chris Jericho undisputed title victory going on for her. Beat Bayley and then beat Sasha right after, and then Asuka's the best. So That's my prediction.
Yeah,
Sorry to
you
spoil
gotta
my
give her
Sasha one early
something. Like,
on.
I mean, you cut her leg
Yeah.
short on the last title reign. Again, you gotta give her
Mm-hmm.
something here, and she's booked against both girls, so this gotta be her time to shine. I'll just talk about Asuka and Sasha right now. Whether it's back to back or it's a little later on in the show, Sasha and Asuka have great chemistry. They've had fantastic matches recently that have been marred by horrid booking. So they've kind of been soured, but the action was great, but the finishes were so bad that they made you go like roll your eyes. You know, like really? That's how they booked the finish. So
When did Asuka lose the title?
okay, so what happened was at the horror show at Extreme Rules, Sasha and
Extreme
Asuka were
Rules. Wait, what happened there?
okay. So I will explain it to you because we got time.
Okay.
Asuka defended the belt against Sasha at that pay-per-view, and there was a schmoz where the ref took a tumble and he was out, and so then Bayley and Banks destroyed or like double teamed Asuka and cheated and all that sort of stuff, and then Bayley took the referee's shirt, put it on herself, and counted the pin for Sasha, and apparently the ring bell rang. Sasha held the belt up but they did it in a way where you were like, that really can't possibly be a legitimate title change. So the next night on Raw, they had Stephanie McMahon announce that the week after, there would be a definitive match between Asuka and Sasha, where that winner would be the legitimate Raw Women's Champion. So, what happened was, oh, you're gonna like this. So this is Kairi's way out of the WWE. So during the match, Asuka and her have another really good match. Asuka's in the driver's seat. Then it cuts to Bayley in the back on the Titantron, and she's beating the hell out of Kairi Sane. So here's another important detail I missed. They said that the winner would win the title by any means necessary. So you could get disqualified, hold the belt. You could get counted out, hold the belt. You could get pinned or submitted, hold the belt. So Asuka has got this choice to make. Does she save her friend from the evil Bayley, or does she fucking finish her match and win gold? What does she do? She runs to save Kairi, and in doing so, she gets counted out, and Sasha becomes the Raw Women's Champion. And so that's what's led to this match tonight, because then Asuka ended up winning a match to get this rematch here at SummerSlam. But Sasha won 2 straight matches with like 2 of the worst finishes you could ever imagine, and it tarnished how good the matches were in the ring. I kid you not.
Wow, I can only imagine this.
Yeah, you can imagine people's reaction to those finishes. They weren't good. So after all that bullshit for the 2 gal power trip, or the golden roll mouths, whatever you want to call them, Asuka has got to finally win and have it be a definitive finish, and she wins the belt back. You know, it's got to happen. It's got to happen, because if she loses to both of them, it's like just heel city. Just have the heels win, and never get any comeuppance. And people wonder why people don't stick around with the show long. You gotta have happy endings in this world. Can't always be the bad shit. I know you love your heels, and I talked about this on the Takeover review yesterday. Can't always be about the heel. Like, the babyface has got to win sometimes. It keeps people coming back. You know? So yeah, that's that. That's the story of Sasha becoming the Raw Women's Champion up until this SummerSlam rematch. So yes, I think Asuka should win both belts and get the Becky Lynch treatment and hold both belts simultaneously. That's the only way to repair this whole thing, and I hope that's what happens. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree. Like, all I can say is they're gonna do a whole Chris Jericho undisputed title win for Asuka. That's all I'm saying. So, next
up, we have a Raw Tag Team Championship bout. The Street Profits, being Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, finally defending the titles against the proper team of Andrade and Angel Garza. Yeah, they brought this back. Because remember, at
So I heard he got poisoned. What's his name? Montez Ford or something? Got poisoned.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So, like, there was a thing that went on, and Ford basically, like, he like passed out, doing like whatever. Like, he was in the ring, and then all of a sudden he looked like drunk or woozy, and then he kind of like just like collapsed, and they had a bunch of like doctors look over him and that. And then it was like they made a whodunit out of it. Like, oh man, who was behind this? Because then they said, oh, he was poisoned. It was determined on WWE.com or whatever on social media that Montez Ford was poisoned. Who could have done this to him? And then on the Go Home show, it was revealed that Zelina Vega slipped whatever into his drink. Like, well, nobody was looking except for this one special camera, which they, quote, said was there to make sure that Retribution was caught doing stuff backstage. They set that camera up for Retribution, but it ended up fucking Zelina Vega over by showing that she poisoned Ford on the Go Home show. So that's going on. So Andrade and Garza, they've been winning tag matches. They won a #1 contendership thing. They were originally the team that was supposed to challenge the Street Profits at WrestleMania. Andrade got hurt right before the taping, so they threw in Austin Theory with Garza for the match, and then Theory ended up being like removed from Vega's group there, and he went with Rollins, and then he just sort of disappeared from television again. So he that was a big main roster run for Mr. Theory, but regardless, back to the point. So finally, Andrade and Garza are getting a shot at the belts, and I'm going to think that they're going to take the titles here. I would think. The Street Profits have had a pretty decently long run. They've been reigning since March as the champions. We're now in August. They've had a good run. They've had a longer run with the Raw belts than they did with the belts in NXT. So
that's true, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, maybe they'll retain again, but I'm thinking, like, if you got to give some heel wins too, right? You got to keep it like, you can't have it all be babyface unless it's like WrestleMania or whatever. But most pay-per-views got to do a mix of both. So if Asuka's gonna win both women's title matches as like the conquering babyface, I imagine the up and coming heel team here of Andrade and Garza are gonna take the Raw tag belts and develop their thing going forward. Because maybe, I don't know if it's gonna lead to Andrade going babyface sometime down the line where Garza turns on him. Maybe I thought that's maybe where they're going to go with it. Maybe they're going to be a long-term team. I don't know. But in any which way you're going to go with them, I think it's got to start with them getting some kind of gold, especially since Andrade lost the U.S. title to Cruz a couple months back. You got to kind of give them something to keep the eyes on them as a unit, right? So what better way to keep people's eyes on them as a unit than for them to win the brand's tag team titles? So I'm going to go with Andrade and Garza to win this match. It should be pretty good. I mean, Andrade's great. Garza's great. The Street Profits, when they're in there, they're athletic, and when they're in there with a good team, it could be some good stuff. So, yeah, I think this should be a good match, and I think the heels are going to take the tag team titles here. What say you, Gabe?
To be honest, it could go either way because it's the main roster, in my opinion. But they're having fun showcasing Street Profits left and right. Like, they're hitting on a roll. I personally want Andrade and Garza to win because, like you said, some heel stuff would be nice, and their unit to keep it strong and all that. But from what I've seen, I guess all the segments and just promos of Street Profits, I wouldn't be surprised if they won. So I'm going to predict that Street Profits will retain.
It's a safe bet. I mean, they've been used very well on
very
the main roster. Like Vince,
yes, sir.
I believe Vince is very high on them as a team, and it shows because they pretty much won the belts right at the beginning of the year, and they've won multiple. They even beat the Viking Raiders to retain the tag titles, and Vince is super high on them, right? So
they even added Bianca to the unit too. So
yeah.
They're going to keep that going for sure.
Yeah, she shows up here and there still, and that's been entertaining and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if the Street Profits retain here. I'm just going to go with Andrade and Garza winning on the fact that, like, that'll develop more the unity between them, and that kind of builds a story. So now they're actually tag team championship partners, so where does it go from here? Like, where are they going to go now that they've won the tag belts? But I would not be surprised if the Street Profits do end up retaining. Yeah, I totally agree with your thought processes. Like, everybody behind the Raw brand seems to be very high on them as a team. They've had the tag titles since the early spring, and here they are defending at a big pay-per-view again. And they could very well retain, but I'm still going to stick with Andrade and Garza. How do you think this match could be pretty good if they're given a decent amount of time? Because I'm a huge Andrade fan.
Any match here could be pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all because of the scripting here. that it's not
Well,
good
and the
because
match layout,
it's so demanding
right?
and
The
strict.
layout.
Yeah. So I mean, if it was NXT, I would tell you what I feel like. Oh, these workers could make a 5-star, 2-star, whatever.
Yeah,
But
because they're not as
if it's the main
handcuffed.
roster,
They're not as handcuffed in NXT. Like
yes,
the
sir, you're
matches are
really
allowed to
handicapped to.
breathe. Matches are allowed
Yeah,
to
exactly.
breathe and stretch a bit, whereas like in main roster pay per view, shit's always confined and fucking feels rushed, and it's just unless
Can
you're
you
like
tell
a
me the last time there was a when was the last time there was like in your opinion a 5-star caliber like match in the main roster? Like I can't think of one.
on the main
Not
roster.
Yeah, on the main roster.
Oh
Like
my
the last one.
god.
Here, I'll go first real quick. The last one I can really remember is the match with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at that Backlash in what 2017,
Yeah,
16, one of those,
I wouldn't have given it a
or is it
full.
Battleground?
I would not have
Yeah,
given it a full
Battleground.
5, but the match between AJ Styles and John Cena at Royal Rumble 2017 was all kinds of fantastic. I don't know if I give it the
Yes,
full
sir.
5, but that was an amazing WWE Championship match, and that's probably the highest rating I've given a main roster match since then. Like there've been great ones. Like I mean, Seth and AJ last year I thought was fantastic for a main roster
Hmm.
match at Money in the Bank 2019. But I wouldn't have given that the full 5 either.
Exactly.
The last full
I'm just
5,
saying
I think the only full 5 I've given, maybe Punk and Cena in 2011. Like it's
2011.
yeah. I don't know. It's been I've given a few 4.5s and 4 3/4, but as far as like a pure 5-star affair, in my opinion, the main roster hasn't had that in a long time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, like, it's the main roster. You know, we can really never tell if a match is going to be good or not in the main roster. So it's like I said, they all could. Who knows? So
Yeah,
we just have to wait.
Moving on from there, we've got more women's wrestling action as Mandy Rose is going to take on her long-term rival Sonya Deville in what was originally booked to be a hair versus hair match, but somebody got cold feet, Ella Vince, and thought, I don't want either of these women to be shaved on my show. I don't want either of them to lose their locks. So they just switched it into a no disqualification, loser leaves the company match. So it's basically no holds barred, and the loser will be leaving WWE as a result of this bout. So this has been building for a long time, but for a while they took these two women completely off television for what felt like 2 months. So the feud was building. They had the WrestleMania moment with Otis. It kept building on television, and suddenly Rose and Deville were gone. And I assume maybe it was because they needed to feel safe and they went to quarantine for a bit when Florida was doing their thing. But there was a while where neither Mandy nor Sonya was on television. Then within the last month, they've both come back and have cut promos on each other, and they've kind of rekindled it a bit. And now it's led to this. Again, originally they booked this to be with both ladies' hair on the line, but now somebody thought, I don't think we want to do that. So now it's a no holds barred loser leaves WWE match. This is kind of hard to predict. I mean, maybe they'll give it to Mandy because of the whole Otis thing, and Otis has still got the briefcase, and they got to keep them as like an on-screen item. And I mean, because like where does Sonya go after this feud is done? Maybe this is just a way to take her off television while she. I don't know. I mean, she might be like fully mentally recovered from her shit getting broken into, or attempted to being broken into. I think it was the last week. She had like a guy try to break into her house, and
Wow.
yeah, he got caught by her like alarm system, and that triggered the police, and he got arrested and all that sort of stuff. So it was just scary times for her. I don't know if it's really shaking her up all that bad. She's gonna be She's been performing on television, and she's gonna be performing tomorrow night on the pay-per-view. But like, I mean, maybe Sonya will win too, and that sends Mandy off TV for a while, because I gotta imagine the loser of this match is gonna be off TV. You know, they're gonna be off television. So it's like,
well, like you said, they've been both off. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. Another one, in my opinion, because the only thing I can really think of is maybe Mandy Rose could stay because of Otis.
Yeah,
because what's there for Sonya if she beats Mandy?
Exactly. What does she do, right?
I'm thinking she's I'll stick with Mandy there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mandy too to win, and then Sonya, is distraught and leaves for a while, and they can find a new way to bring her back or whatever. But this has been a great feud while it's been on television, I think it's been one of the more compelling parts of the COVID era when it's been on. And then, as I said, there was a 2-month period where neither one of them was on television. It was on like a standstill. We're like, where'd Mandy go? Where'd Otis go? Where's Sonya? And then in the last month, they've all kind of come back, and now it's led to this. So I think this is, perhaps like the best main roster feud of the year thus far. Because I can't think
storyline wise, hell yeah,
storyline wise,
definitely.
yeah. As far as an angle go, or like a full on, storyline rivalry is concerned, I think this is the best one that the main roster's had all year. So it's good that it's getting a SummerSlam spotlight. These ladies deserve it with all the good work they put in, especially Sonya and her killer heel promos that she's been doing since she was caught to be in cahoots with Dolph and turned on Mandy. She's been doing a bang up job. So maybe I don't know why they're gonna feel they needed to take one of these ladies off television. Maybe it's just maybe it's for a repackaging of sorts. Who knows? But I thought Sonya was killing it. So if she does indeed lose here, it's kind of sad they're gonna take her off TV for a bit. But due to the fact that I see them keeping Mandy around to be Otis's valet, I see her winning, and Sonya can be the one to leave for a bit, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picking with Mandy Rose to win this, but good on both girls to make the SummerSlam card, and what is kind of a big stakes match. Outside of like the women's championship picture, like this feud has not needed a belt. That's impressive.
No, yeah,
when you
exactly.
don't need when it's literally a personal affair that is built up and built up and built up, and it has nothing really on the line other than like betrayal and revenge and all that sort of stuff. Like usually like those really great feuds that start that way, they end up becoming so compelling that they need to put the title into it. That's happened in the past before, but this one has not needed it, and I don't think, and it's never needed
Oh,
it.
yeah,
And
definitely.
that's what I think that's what makes this feud as great as it is because these two ladies are delivering, and it doesn't need a prize to be fought for. It's literally in storyline a story of betrayal and the vengeance after getting betrayed.
Maybe later on, if they still want to keep it going, maybe it can be for the belt. Like I can see this in the same realm as Gargano Ciampa, but not as because that story will never end. But I remember their feud all started because they were a team like Sonya and Mandy, and now they had their betrayals and all that, and eventually it was for the NXT title. So and they were taking the main event from the NXT title. It used to be I guess Alistair main eventing takeovers, and then now it's just Gargano and Ciampa just taking the main event from the NXT title. So it's kind of in that same realm, in my opinion. This Mandy Rose Sonya Deville storyline. So it's really good on them that they're pulling this off and flourishing it to more than it should have been.
Yeah, it's really over delivering, and what's even more great about it is Sonya's been cutting the best promo work of her life, and it's unfortunate that it's in front of nobody, but at the same time it's still compelling for me to watch because I'm seeing a girl cut awesome promos, so it makes me want to tune in to hear her talk. It's sad that she isn't getting to cut these awesome promos in front of like a live audience, but at the same time it's captivating me during COVID. So again, I have nothing but admiration for this rivalry, given like how much the pandemic should be working against it, but they've strived in spite of it. So like that gets nothing but two big thumbs up from me. Like it's just really, really, really great stuff. So you stick it with Mandy Rose to take this then? I'm doing it as well.
Yes, sir. Mandy Rose all the way.
Yeah, so unfortunately Sonya gonna have to follow the leave WWE for a bit, and they're gonna take her off television, unfortunately, although those great
It looks someone popped in here.
Yep, it's Brandon. I told him we were about to talk about one of the matches he actually cares about on this here show. So welcome, Brandon. You're on with the Gabester and the Brayster. Here we are.
Yes.
So we've touched upon. I'm just gonna catch you up on this sort of stuff.
Yep.
So we talked about Cruz and MVP for the U.S. title. I said it's probably gonna get bumped to the kickoff sometime tomorrow. Of all the matches on the card, and we both agreed with Cruz to retain the title.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. Afterwards, we talked about the two women's title matches. We were not sure on placement for the card, but we believe that Asuka will defeat both Bayley and Sasha, and basically get the Becky Lynch treatment by the end of the show.
Yeah, and then Bayley and Sasha will start their long feud again.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you think they're going to have it back-to-back? Because that's what I predicted. They're going to do a whole Chris Jericho undisputed thing.
Yeah,
going on.
I think it'll be back to back. I think, I don't know, let's say it starts off with Sasha. Bayley will be at ringside, and then
Bayley has to defend first, given what happened
Oh,
on SmackDown last night.
Yeah, okay. Then Bayley will defend first, and then Sasha will be at ringside, and then she'll hop in after.
Yeah, so I predicted that maybe Bayley and Asuka open the show too. So we kind of had like a differing opinion on there, but I also kind of agreed with Gabe in the fact that they could save it for the co-main spot, because then Bayley loses and Sasha becomes enraged and she just jumps in the ring and they jump right to the second title match, and they could definitely do that and save the two women's matches back to back for like a shared co-main spot before the actual main event. So that like one of the last things you see is Asuka raising both belts, because I don't think there's going to be a happy ending to the main event, and we will get to that. But first, we're talking about one Dominik Mysterio. It's Rey Mysterio's actual son. It's not Eddie Guerrero's, for anybody who might still think that Dominik is actually Eddie's child. This is very, very much, in fact, Rey Mysterio's son. He's making his debut pro wrestling match ever. He's been training at the Performance Center for a long time, learning to take bumps and work and all that sort of stuff, but he's never had a sanctioned pro match before. So here he is. He's having his first ever pro match ever. Not even WWE televised match, everybody. His first actual match where the bell has rung and he's going to be competing in a ring. And he's taking on Seth Rollins. And it is a street fight so that all the gizmos in the world can be used during it, because, a brawling or like weapons match is a little easier to lay out for somebody who might have all this kind of pressure on them. And, it's smoke and mirrors helps things out. Smoke and mirrors always helps somebody with lesser experience. And then you're also in there with Seth, who, as much as he can get heat and says a lot of stupid shit on Twitter and all that sort of stuff, I do think that he is a fantastic wrestler and can carry most people to something very good. And we're going to have that. So Rey Mysterio is apparently going to be in his son's corner, and of course Murphy going to be in the corner of the Messiah, Seth Rollins. Big pressure on Dominik to perform here. I'm sure it's going to have a decently high spot on the card. What do you guys think about this match? What is your opinion about it? Do you think how would you feel if you were Dominik in this situation? You're having your first pro match on national pay-per-view.
I think it's around, like, when I think of this, situation, it's like The Rock when he debuted as Rocky Maivia. He had his first ever match in a pay-per-view, which was Survivor Series, and that just shows, how much faith they have in Dominik. So I could see a promising future. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of butterflies for him, but he's going to be with Seth, and he's already having a great program with him in the past couple of weeks. That's the only feud I've been really researching into since I got out of military training, was Dominik and Seth, because we've always seen Dominik ever since he was 5 or something, and now he's just this grown man now. He's really trying to be bigger and more promising than his father. I think he can really have a great career. And it's a street fight, so he can always use those kendo sticks that he's been relying on. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's easy to bring out the weapons, because you don't really have to. Because I wrestled, it's always easier to use the weapons, because it's just, it's not a big move or what's called a sequence. So it's just easier just use a weapon
and mirrors, which is why this is a street fight. So Brandon, what do you think? Oh, you're not done yet, Gabe? Okay, keep going.
Oh no, I'll just tell my prediction real quick. I think he's gonna lose, and like I said last night, my big prediction, he's gonna get brutalized after losing, and then in comes a SummerSlam debut with Keith Lee, and then he could start program with Seth Rollins. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be great for everyone, and it's Keith Lee on national television. So that's my prediction.
Brandon, your thoughts and prediction. You can go ahead.
I think it's a big spot to put him in, obviously. Mm-hmm. They obviously got a lot of hype around him. They've seen him work in the Performance Center. You wouldn't put his first match against a high-level talent like Seth Rollins. So obviously they got a lot of hype on him and a lot of trust in him. And you think his first match is a street fight, so there could be spots in the match where he might take a hard bump. on like a finisher on a chair, a suplex off the top rope on the chairs. So he's gonna take a lot of bumps, which I think it's crazy for his first WWE match. Saying that, I agree with Gabe. I think he loses, but I don't think it's Keith Lee that debuts. I'm gonna go. I think Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. I think Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, like you've seen at the Rumble, like they had trouble with him at the Rumble, but Kevin Owens ended up hurting his ankle, and then Samoa Joe ended up, I think it was a concussion he got.
He got concussed.
And they stopped that little feud with Owens and Joe against Rollins' minions and him. I think it goes back to that. I think Kevin Owens is 100% healthy, and I've read articles on Joe being 100% healthy. He just hasn't got the go from Vince McMahon to come back and wrestle. I think at SummerSlam you see Joe and Kevin Owens step up and they step in and help Dominik.
Yeah, the only thing I have there is that it feels like they slapped him on commentary because they feel he's injury prone and don't want him to get hurt. So, but they want to keep him on TV and hear his voice. So that's why they put him in the booth.
Right? I think, honestly, he'll be, I want to say he's probably going to be a part-timer now. I think you'll see him probably do pay-per-view matches, and the rest he'll be TV commentator.
Right.
Yeah, I think it'll almost be like, John Cena, Brock. He'll cut promos on that, but he'll be a commentator on Raw, and then when it comes to, the big pay-per-views where they want to use him, he'll be in a match.
Well, I'm going to be the contrarian here because Seth has done a lot of shit to Rey Mysterio. He blinded him twice in kayfabe. Blinded him twice, injured his eye, and then re-injured it and allegedly popped it out of its socket in storyline. Not legitimately, because obviously you can't cripple a person at work or permanently disfigure them. But in storyline, Seth Rollins blinded Rey, then permanently blinded him in one eye. And now Dominik is fighting for his dad. And he already got the shit whipped out of him with those kendo sticks. And he got destroyed when nobody helped him. So apparently he's got no friends in the back. And now you're going to have him lose again and Seth just keeps getting heat? You gotta give the fucking good guys something here. You know? Like, you could have the poor kid lose when he's stepping up for his blinded dad. He's still gonna just come up short? I don't think so.
Well,
I wouldn't do that.
I don't think it ends at SummerSlam. I think they're gonna they're gonna carry it on where it's, like I said, like Gabe said, it could be Keith Lee, or I think it'll be Joe and Owens, but it's gonna lead into some kind of tag match. And gimmick.
Dominik, he's this is his first match. I don't think he would win his first match against a world champion, NXT champion, a tag team champion. He's done everything, and his first match
doesn't need to be a convincing victory. He could get a fluke roll up and still get beat up afterward.
But on paper, it's still him winning over Seth Rollins.
And it's still giving the good guys a win after Seth has caused terror to the Mysterio family for 2 months. So you're going to keep terror going?
But here's the thing is, if Seth loses, that terror that he's built up, because he's honestly, during the pandemic...
It's not going to get hurt that bad, I don't think.
It's been him and Orton have been the top stars, pretty much, on the main roster. If you lose to a guy in his first match who has never fought, I think it kills a little bit of the momentum. And I think you look at the WWE universe and they go, "Oh, he lost to Dominik. I don't care about his gimmick anymore." And I don't think they're going to let that happen.
I doubt Seth would be impacted all that bad with one loss here. He's so solidified that taking a loss to a guy making his debut, I don't think hurts him all that bad. Personally, but that's just my opinion. But I think you got to give the Mysterio family something. And I could be wrong. They could keep building on Seth's heat, and he wins with a fucking stomp, and they beat him up, and some big heavy like Joe or Keith Lee come out and save the Mysterios because they're too wimpy to fucking help themselves and fight for themselves. So now they need help from a big guy. That also that helps them out, eh? That makes them look tough. But I won't harp on that too much. But I think you got to give Dominik the win here. Again, you guys are firmly in your opinion that Seth is going to win. I say give Dominik the win. He needs the win. It's the right booking decision. Seth can get his heat back some other way because this company's all about heat. It's all about giving heels the win. It's all about heels being dominant. And that's what fucking, if you do that too much, that's what fucking turns people off at some point, in my opinion. In my opinion, it does. I don't know. People have other different booking philosophies, but you got to have a decent balance. You got to have the baby faces win and heels win. And I know they say, oh, there's no such thing as baby faces and heels anymore. Well, the booking contradicts that with the way you book. You still book like there's a good guy and a bad guy. You can't tell me, even in 2020, there's not a good guy and a bad guy based on the storyline. That'd be like saying, so like Marvel Comics has clear good guys and villains. So imagine if the writers one day just said, yeah, it's all up to interpretation. There's no good or bad. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure the guys destroying the world are the bad guys. So in this case, I'm pretty sure Seth, who just snapped about losing a championship match, who took it out on a poor Rey Mysterio and gouged his eye. Yeah, that's a real act of a good guy. You know, that's a messiah right there. You know, it's still clearly a heel. I don't care what anybody says. There's still good guys and bad guys in this little dealia bob, and I think you got to give the Mysterio family something here. Seth has got heat on this family and has been on the winning end for like 2-3 months now.
Yeah, but
you know?
but that's another thing. Like Gabe said, if it is Keith Lee, what if Dominik loses and they think, okay, you know, you don't see Dominik or Ray for a couple weeks, and then they come back on and Seth Rollins in that couple weeks they're off TV is still causing terror on somebody else, maybe Kevin Owens, if Aleister Black returns, who knows? And then, you know, you see Dominik and Ray come out a couple weeks after SummerSlam and say, you know what, we couldn't get the job done, so we hired somebody, and that maybe they hire Keith Lee or somebody like that. You don't think it could go that way?
It could. It's just I'm just saying, like, I would like for this family that got victimized and tormented to kind of fight their own battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like team together. You got your dad in your corner. Sure, he's got one eye, but do something together and triumph together. Like, why use an outsider? You know?
Yeah.
So
I know it debuts a dude.
I
know it debuts a dude like Keith Lee, in which case, like, if they do go with that, it brings him to the main roster and it gives him something to do. But like, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, like, the Mysterio family.
But Brain, if Dominik wins, what's next for him?
Honestly, if Dominik beats Seth Rollins and he finishes him with, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be the 619.
I think
if
he wins, it's gonna be fluky. I don't think he gets like.
But let's play what if, and he doesn't win fluky. Man, that's booking heavy. Like, your first win is against Seth Rollins.
But what better way to put a guy over, especially if he wins that clean?
Right.
That's a future star right there.
Yeah, but if you look at NXT, you book Cross to beat Ciampa. That's a big win to start off, right? Mm-hmm. You book Dominik Mysterio to beat Rollins. I mean, you know, your second match on a pay-per-view can't be Apollo Crews for the United States title, because that, to me, that's going downhill.
Well, clearly he's going to be staying with Seth for a while, regardless if he wins or loses. The thing's going on, I think.
Yeah, that if it's going on, I can't see him winning. I can see him winning, like, down the road then.
I still think he should win, and you got to give, you know, if Ray didn't, in storyline, get his eye gouged out, I would be all with you guys at saying keep Seth's seat and have him win, but, you know, the horror show happened, and it's made my opinion being that you got to give these Mysterios something, and I could be completely wrong, and Dominik will just fucking lose like his dad did, and you guys will be right. But I'm sticking with my guns and saying give the babyface son the win in honor of his dad at the biggest party of the summer.
Wait, hello?
Yep, you're still here.
I got disconnected, but I asked, like, what would happen to Dominik after he would win, and I got disconnected after that.
Well, you could still they're like okay. So if he gets a fluke win, well, you could just have Seth say that he didn't really beat him. Yeah, like, a heel can make up a million excuses and goad him some more. Like, there's a lot to do with a heel promo. Seth's been
Do you think Dominik will still wrestle, like, on TV after that?
He might, or he might not. Like, what if this is a one-off for a while and he goes back down to train for a bit? Like, we don't know what he's going to do after this, win or loss, right?
Right.
So
I think, win or lose, I think he should go to NXT. I think that would be a great place for him to just develop his, like, his character and moveset better.
What were you about to say, Brandon?
No, I just, again, it's, you know, if it's a one-off thing, I don't think Seth Rollins should lose. If it's going to continue on and on, I mean, I could see Dominik maybe pulling one out. But like you said, if it's a one-off thing and he goes back to the Performance Center and trains, I mean, I think that would really hurt Rollins.
No, I don't think so. Seth is beyond established. He could take a loss to a newbie, and it really won't affect him all that bad. It really wouldn't. Like if this were okay, who would be a heel who's like on the rise on the main roster, but like not quite there, has never won a world title, but is like solidly in the mid card and kind of trying to break up to that upper echelon, and then they saddle that guy with a newbie, and he takes a loss. Then you're kind of killing that guy. But Seth has been a main eventer for years. One little loss to a guy making his first match, I don't think it's going to be all that bad.
Yeah, but it's not about Seth Rollins and him being a main eventer. It's about his character right now, right?
Yeah, but he hasn't really lost since. He lost to Kevin Owens and I guess he lost to Drew too.
Yeah, right.
I guess. I forgot about those.
Yeah.
I mean, it's COVID. I'm forgetting about some of these pay-per-views. But like with Kevin Owens' case, you kind of had to have him win because Owens was getting fucked over by that heel group the whole time building up to WrestleMania, so you kind of had to give him something there. And you knew Drew wasn't going to drop the title in his first title defense. Seth was just like a dude to defend the belt against. And then and then they got all of his heat back by beating Rey Mysterio up and destroying him for months now.
That's my thing. He lost those 2 matches, and ever since then they've been building him. You don't build somebody and then, no offense to Dominik, he's gonna have a great career, but you lose to a guy in his first ever match.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't think it's going to be all that bad. I still don't think it'd be all that bad. But again, WWE booking would say that the fucking Seth will just go undefeated in this rivalry and win all the way till they just don't do nothing with either Mysterio, and Seth just is the heel that wins everything. How many times have we seen the heel win everything in the last year?
Exactly.
A lot.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't be surprised with you guys. I'm just trying to do the good guy booking. It's slightly fantasy, but it's also logical. Like I'm thinking that given the young kid standing up for his dad, a win after his dad got blinded would be a right thing to do to make fans feel good, especially when we're going to talk about what's going to happen in these last 2 matches here. So you guys are sticking with Seth to get the win by the end of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Debut, right? Okay, and I'm going to be the one contrarian who says Dominik will get the win for his blind daddy. Yes. So, also, I forgot to get your opinion on this, Brandon. We went over the Street Profits tag title match. Gabe chose Dawkins and Ford to retain, whereas I chose Andrade and Garza to win the belts. Where do you stand on that from a prediction standpoint?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd say Garza.
Yeah, the heels take it to kind of continue their unity, correct?
Yeah, continue their unity, and I mean, other than the Street Profits, what have they done? But have that series with Viking Raiders?
Yeah, but they actually won, which is impressive because they never beat them in NXT, and they beat them on Raw. That shows that Vince got a lot of faith in you as a tag team, man.
Yeah, I just they really haven't done anything since they won, and Garza and Andrade are treading upwards, so I'd go them.
And then we also talked about the now no DQ loser leaves the WWE match between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. It was originally hair versus hair, but on the go home show they decided they didn't want to chop any gal hair. So now it's the loser leaves and it's no holds barred. And we said just by the fact that Mandy is Otis's valet and he's got the briefcase, they probably will want to keep him or her around. We went with her winning in the end, being the babyface that conquers, and then Sonya's the one who's taken off TV for a bit. What do you think about that?
Man, that's probably
it was tough. Me and Gabe said that it's tough because Sonya's been delivering great promos in this rivalry. She's been carrying the feud in a way that no one could have ever expected. Like this is the best feud on the main roster this year.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Sonya wins.
Oh really? You're gonna be the contrarian for this one.
Yeah, she's going to, because she's been doing so well. I think they keep her on TV and keep pushing her. I think Mandy goes. I think Otis holds on to that briefcase for a long time.
Yeah, he probably will.
And my thing is, when he does win that briefcase, Mandy Rose will return and help him. So I think she'll go off TV until they're ready to make Otis use it.
Interesting. So you're the contrarian. Me and
yeah.
No, I was the contrarian for Dominik, and now you're the contrarian for Sonya. Good to know. All right. So now we're moving on to the world title matches. So the first of the 2. We now have, it's now a Falls Count Anywhere match, so they could fight all over the arena for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman defending against The Fiend. So The Fiend is actually going to be competing as The Fiend. It's not Bray Wyatt in the cardigan sweater. It's The Fiend. The same Fiend that beat John Cena in a mindfuck match. The same Fiend that beat Daniel Bryan. The same Fiend that won the Universal title from Seth Rollins. That Fiend is coming back to challenge Braun. And they got all the gimmicks in the world. It's like a bunch of like stipulation, like hardcore matches, essentially. What is this, the Attitude Era? Like half this card is no DQ or falls count anywhere or like no count out. Brawler matches. But, you know, smoke and mirrors, baby. Smoke and mirrors, trying to make the best pay-per-view possible. But we'll see if it ends up paying off. Maybe this also doesn't go long. Maybe it does go long. I have no idea. But, like, really the Fiend should win this match. Like, Braun should be dropping the belt here, in my opinion.
No, I disagree there.
I
honestly think they have squandered the Fiend over the last couple of months.
So you think, like, Braun winning is gonna, like, be helpful to that? You gotta repair this shit, man. Like, now. Because you can't just kill the character. It's still got legs.
See, if you're going by rumors, I've read that whoever wins is probably going to drop it to Roman, and Roman said he's coming back very soon. So the Fiend winning and then losing the Roman right away, I honestly think it's a lose-lose situation.
But I don't know if he's gonna lose it right away, because who knows? Roman says he may be coming back, but like, there's no real evidence of that. They haven't hyped up any vignettes of his return yet. There's nothing.
The only way I can see the Fiend winning on Sunday is if they finally pull the trigger on the Sister Abigail.
And by that you mean, like, what, make Alexa Bliss officially Sister Abigail? Or
Alexa Bliss, it could be somebody else we haven't seen. It could be somebody else in NXT that didn't do a lot. Just if they pull the trigger on Sister Abigail and you see her on Sunday, 1,000% the Fiend's winning. If there's no Sister Abigail...
but wasn't Sister Abigail more of a thing for the cult leader Bray gimmick rather than the Fiend? I guess they...
Well, over the last couple weeks, they've been teasing with Bliss. Yeah. But I also think they're teasing it, and Bliss is, you know, assume the role of the Sister Abigail, but I also think it could be a play in Braun's favor and Alexa Bliss be actually helping Braun.
Originally, the Fiend just knew that, like, Bliss and Strowman had a friendship, so that's why he originally choked her out with the mandible claw, was to get into Braun's head and attack a friend of his.
Yeah, well, my other thing is
But now there have been segments where she's like infatuated with the Fiend, kind of. It's like weird. Exactly. It's like, what am I watching here? This is
weird.
Yeah. But like,
that's my thing. That's my thing is, if Bliss wasn't going to be a part of it on Sunday night, she would have been the one taking on Bayley, because she's 100% healthy to wrestle. So she's obviously going to play a major part in that title match, whether she's going to look like helping the Fiend and actually help Braun and make him retain, or she's Sister Abigail. It's that clear.
Yeah, well, Braun got lucky to have the belt in the first place. It's because Roman pulled out of WrestleMania and they needed somebody to face Goldberg, and he got the belt by default of being the second biggest guy on SmackDown, I guess, but literally and figuratively. But like, the Fiend lost the belt so that Goldberg could compete at WrestleMania. Just give him the Universal title back, man. You got to put the belt back on Bray Wyatt, I think. Like, I'll be shocked if Strowman retains, because like after that, I think if the Fiend loses here as the Fiend, it's it's done. All steam is lost. This is like the last chance. Like Bray Wyatt in the cardigan sweater, whatever, right? Like he's Bray Wyatt, the goofy Mr. Rogers psychopath. But the Fiend is like this destructive force. Like, you're just gonna have the monster among men just pin him clean with a power slam. It's dead in the water, baby. I think the Fiend's got to win this match, and if he doesn't, this Bray Wyatt just can't keep his momentum with any gimmick that seems to work. It seems. What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, that's definitely my prediction as well, because sadly, Braun has never been really taken too seriously in the main roster, so it's just I guess he's just flexible as the Big Show, and he's willing to take a loss or win if they wanted to. So it's and Bray as the Fiend, winning against him is a big deal. Winning at SummerSlam, I don't think that would be necessary. The last time, or the only time he lost as the Fiend was the Saudi show, and that was complete bull crap, as everyone knows. But we all know that they're taking this Fiend character, a little more seriously than whatever gimmick that Bray has been producing before. So it's just you're taking this really carefully, and even the Fiend confronted Vince McMahon in SmackDown last night. So it's I don't think he's gonna lose. He's definitely gonna win, and if Roman does come back, I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about him, Bray versus Braun.
Yeah, we're worried about the people who are booked right now, right? Like the people who are in the mix, right? So
yeah. So I think Bray is gonna definitely have that belt back, and that's it. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I just got one little thing to point out here. Braun, like, throwing Alexa Bliss around, kind of teased being, like, slightly heel at the same time. So are they trying to do, like, a double turn in this program? So it seems like to me. Everybody wants the Fiend to win anyway. So it's like Braun being positioned as the heel for this match now? Is nobody the heel? I don't know. It's just weird thing. It's like Braun went nuts and, like, tossed Alexa Bliss in anger that the Fiend caused, which is like, the evil's getting to you and making you evil. So I don't know. Is there like, whereas like Bray's kind of being compassionate to Alexa since choking her out with the mandible claw, and I guess I don't know. Mm-hmm. It just seems like they're flip flopping the position here. So like the Fiend winning is more of like a fan favorite thing than it is a heel. I think most fans want to see Braun Strowman lose anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Brandon, about that analysis?
Oh man, I'm going against you guys both again today. I want to have a three-way. That sounds so wrong.
Triple threat is a better way to say it, right?
Yeah, triple threat. But I don't think it's there for the Fiend right now. I think it's almost. I don't want to compare him to this person, but since it started, he shows up at the last couple of SmackDowns, and then he shows up at the pay-per-view. It's almost like Brock Lesnar, I want to say. Like he's not. He doesn't wrestle on SmackDown. They don't use him on SmackDown. I don't think they want to do this again, like they had with Brock. So for that fact, I'm going to go Strowman. But I'm also going to put on, if you're watching Sunday, whoever's listening, and we're going to watch Sunday, if Alexa Bliss comes out and she's not Alexa Bliss, she's dressed as Sister Abigail, there's a random girl that comes out, 1,000% the Fiend's winning. But if there's none of that, I don't think there's any chance he wins.
Well, I mean, if he wins, they could book him on television more. It's just like
he's never had I don't think he's ever had a match as a Fiend on television. And I know that they're going with Finn Balor's Demons only comes out and plays at the pay-per-view. But he hasn't wrestled at all on TV, which it's for a title holder, I mean...
But that could change after he wins the belt. Like, they could book him after this, right?
Hopefully, but he's won the belt before, and, he does his little Mr. Rogers show, and that's all you see of him. And I just think if they are going to make him champion, I hope, like you said, they're going to book him more on TV and to cut promos and that. But, I mean, to me, it's stale right now, and I don't think stale is going to win the championship.
Yeah, I think Braun's more stale than the Fiend, my dude, honestly. And
that's sad to say, Braun's stale, but if you're looking at it, I don't – the winner of this, I don't think is going to hold the title for even one defense more. Like, even if Braun wins, I think he loses next. Like, I think – like you said, I think maybe Roman can come back. I think Big E will step up. I think AJ might go back up to the title picture because they know right now how stale it is at the top.
Yeah.
So I don't. To me, it's probably going to be Braun Strowman, but after that, I don't think he's going to hold the title for that long.
I'm sticking with the Fiend. The Fiend should regain the belt here, and because another loss to Wyatt would be catastrophic, I think. Like the character's dead. So, I mean, you can get around with like television host Bray losing to Braun like an idiot. That's fine. It's just, but like the Fiend has been booked like just this force of evil or this powerful force. And if the Fiend is just gonna lose to a power slam after losing to Goldberg, it's done. You got nothing anymore. It's completely phased out. So to keep the fire lit and to keep the fact that the Fiend jumped out of the swamp at the horror show at Extreme Rules, you got to give him the belt, and that's what I think there. Again, when it comes to this match, I don't know if it'll be any good. Braun ain't the greatest worker. Bray is a great character, but as far as being a wrestler is concerned, I don't think he's ever had that many. Neither one of these guys for singles matches have had great performances, but it is what it is, and that's the Universal Championship match this Sunday. So 2 for the Fiend, 1 for Braun, I suppose. Hey, boys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And now we move on to what I'm assuming is going to be the main event of the show, and that is the WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre defending against the Legend Killer again, Randy Orton. So Orton's been on a roll since beating Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever. He's punted Christian. He's punted Big Show. He had Flair kind of being his manager, and then he punted Ric Flair. He punted Flair. He
so it seems it was a blackout.
Yeah,
so
I know, but they want you to think that he actually kicked him, right? It's a Legend Killer thing.
I heard some speculations that the blackout was. In kayfabe they acted that, so maybe people are saying Ric Flair could help Randy Orton win the dirty win against Drew McIntyre or something. So.
I don't think so. I think it was just a way to write Flair off, and he's going to go home and stay safe.
Yeah, me too.
Not be in Orlando all the time, or in Florida, where I think cases are pretty bad of COVID. So send the old guy home so he can't risk getting sick. And then on the go-home show, Shawn Michaels talked about this match, and Orton kind of came out and RKO'd him, and then punted him, and then Drew kind of chased Orton off and checked on HBK, and then Orton caught Drew with an RKO on the go-home show, which usually means that the heel, since he stood tall, is probably not going to win at the pay-per-view, but this is fucking Randy Orton, so he's usually above all those type of rules. I think this could be a very good match. Orton, when he's motivated and in a main event position, is a hell of a worker. Drew's worked his fucking ass off since winning the belt and has done his best as he possibly can in all of his title defenses on pay-per-view. This is a big hoss match. 2 tall fucking jack dudes just gonna beat the shit out of each other. Should be some great stuff. And I expect the Legend Killer to kill the Rising Legend. If you're a Rising Legend, that means you're not a legend, right? So Drew's exempt from being killed, because you know what I mean. He's not really a legend. He's just the champion. So he doesn't get his legend killed because he's too premature. Is he not a legend? I don't know, but. I expect Orton to take the belt here. Honestly, I do. I think this is the end of Drew's first run. Yeah, what's that?
So he's using the punts again.
Yep.
A little off topic.
Mm-hmm.
Pat McAfee's finish, is that the punt as well?
Well, that's what he used to knock it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not to the side of the head. It's probably to the. If the guy is down, it's almost to the middle of the face.
Yeah, well,
it's almost like a football.
If McAfee loses tonight and swings and misses, well, then that wasn't even a connected kick to the head. So they're probably saving that for Orton anyway. Yeah. So what were you about to say though, Gabe? Were you about to say why have the same 2 finishes in the 2 nights?
Yeah, because I know that WWE doesn't like having their wrestlers, even in NXT, have the same finishers. Because they like to have the exclusivity. So. I was just wondering, if why are they having 2 the same finishes? But yeah, that was just a thought. So.
Yeah, I mean, Orton could win with an RKO too. It doesn't mean he's going to win with a punt.
Yeah, that's
usually a punt takes you off TV, and I can't imagine they're taking Drew off, right? So maybe he'll just fall to an RKO, and that'll be how this ends.
Here's my thing: is this match is going to have a lot of
shenanigans.
Yeah, a lot of little flickering lights, and you're probably going to be like, oh my God, is my stream messing up? Because it's it's probably the most for sure thing. There's going to be, Retribution's going to be in it somehow.
Why wouldn't they go after Strowman and The Fiend, though? Because they're on SmackDown, right? Oh, I guess they were on Raw this week.
Yeah, well, they were on SmackDown and Raw,
Yeah, I forgot they kind of screwed up Drew's opening promo this week. They kind of were screwing around with the TV signal.
I think you're going to see a little shenanigans at, in the middle of the match. with like, you know, the lights flickering and all that, but I don't think anybody's going to interfere. I think it's going to be Orton, RKO, 1, 2, 3, and then I think he goes for the punt. And when he goes for the punt, he's not going to, the lights are going to come back on. McIntyre's not going to be there, and there's going to be a guy in a black, their black get up there, and it's going to take off the mask, and it's going to be Tommaso Ciampa.
So you're thinking that they're going to just turn Orton face just like that?
I think they want you to be on the side of the hackers. I think they want
really?
you. I think they want you to cheer for.
They've been
these
acting
rebels.
heelish, in my opinion. Like they've been destroying the sets and other property of WWE.
But it's also It's also, if you remember TNA, it's almost like Aces and Eights, but it's also got a bit of the Shield. It's also got a bit of the Shield in it. Like they're going to attack
Depends on who's
people
behind those masks. If I see the talent behind those masks, I'll know. But
yeah,
I just see Mask Nexus, in my opinion, running rampant.
Yeah, but it depends on who's behind them. Like Gargano and Ciampa are like a step above most of the people that were in the original Nexus in terms of ring ability and promo ability and all that.
Oh, of course, yes.
And the big rumor is right now that, I mean, it depends how the pandemic goes and if we get fans back and that. The big rumor is right now that they want Orton and Ciampa to be one of the headliners next year at WrestleMania.
Really? And do you think they're going to have the title involved in that? That's a big first spot for Tommaso.
Well, might not be the title, but it's going to be him versus, or he could cost Orton the title, but I think it's going to be almost like Ronda and Becky. It's going to stretch out. It's not going to be an every week thing. He's going to show up here and there just to, mess with Randy Orton, but they're going to prolong it all the way to WrestleMania next year.
I totally believe that I totally believe that this faction is going to be used at the pay-per-view. I just don't know if it's going to be for this particular main event. I think it'll be for the main event, but I think it'll also like I said, like TNA wise, Ace and Eights. I think they're only going to reveal that the person in the main event, and then you're going to wonder, well, who is the other 6-7 people? And I wouldn't say every pay-per-view, but you might have some on television. They're going to start revealing people, but one by one. It won't be a whole group reveal. Right. So you might have somebody in the Fiend and Strowman match come out and it not be Tommaso Ciampa. It could be Dijakovic. They're all going to pick their own little battles, and then that's how they're going to reveal them. Well, I assume they're going to have an appearance on this pay-per-view. I don't know if it's going to be of any revealing note. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just, like, beat shit up in their masks and they have a little segment and then that's it, like they've been doing on Raw and SmackDown. But I mean, if there was a time to do face reveals, I would hope the second biggest show of the year would be a time to do that. I just don't know if it's going to be for this particular match, which I expect to be very good. I mean, if both guys are really gelling and it's clicking, it could even be great. And I assume we're all in a unanimous agreement that this will be the main event of tomorrow's pay-per-view, right? Like, we all totally expect this to be the last match, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It should be the main event.
Gabe, I didn't quite get to hear your analysis of how you think the match is going to be and your prediction on the winner. What are you thinking there?
So I'm going to be somewhere on the same page as Brandon, but here's how I see it. I think Drew, I think Drew is going to win it because, I mean, I know Orton's been on the rise, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that Drew's going to win. And then, of course, Retribution is a thing. Why not go for the top contender, and I think Retribution, in my opinion, is a heel. So that's another reason why I think Drew's going to win, is this is where they're going to finally reveal who's under the mask of Retribution, and they're going to go for Drew, the face, Retribution being the heel. So that's just how I see it. And
so you actually see Drew retaining the title?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's because of Retribution, in my opinion. If it wasn't for this whole Retribution like shenanigans, I believe that Orton should win it. But I think Drew should still, maintain his.
You think like
his strength
he needs to be the champion and the leading babyface as champion, and the absolute leader of Retribution will be like his challenger in the future?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because I don't see Retribution as a face. I don't know why people, or some people do, but they're wrecking havoc in WWE and they're doing it, it's just, I think it's going to be a heel in charge of Retribution against the babyface, the top contender of the company, which is Drew McIntyre. And having Orton to face Retribution would just be a little off, you know. So I think Drew, who has been on fire since since winning Royal Rumble, beating Brock Lesnar, he needs to keep that credibility going, beating Randy Orton and all. So that's just how I think it's gonna go. I would not be surprised if Orton wins.
What if Retribution helps Orton, and then maybe it's Orton's got a new faction. Maybe it's not.
I think they should be kept far away from somebody established.
Yeah,
they need to be their
that
own
could
thing.
be a possibility for sure. It's just that it would be really weird having a proficient wrestler who's already been known. Like, you know, it's like CM Punk in the new Nexus. I didn't really get that. So I think the face of Retribution should be a brand new face for the main roster.
For the main roster, right? Like, it could be any big star from NXT, but like they should be new to Raw and SmackDown, and they should stay that way, and they should be their own thing and not be led by a guy who's been on the main roster for ages.
Exactly. So it's like CM Punk new Nexus. I didn't really get that. I think NXT new face would show up, and that's how I see Retribution debuting against the top champion babyface Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, so there's both reasons for that there. And again, I think Retribution is going to show up and do something. I don't know if it's going to be a big reveal thing or if they're going to do that. I could see them just
it just makes sense to go for the top contender.
If they do anything more than just fucking around with the cameras and going and fucking shit up in the back, right?
But imagine that, though, the last friggin' 3 weeks, almost a month they've been doing that. And then, like you said, Braden, the second biggest pay-per-view on the main roster, and you're not even going to reveal somebody. I don't think they should reveal everybody, because I think it also keeps interest in what's going on.
You're acting as if WWE, when they do stuff like this, don't drag it out ridiculously at times, which
but I'm
prone
saying
to do.
they should. I'm saying they should drag it out, but I'm saying they should reveal at least one person.
Well, I suppose we're about to find out. Anyway, whether Retribution is around for this match or not, I'm still going with Randy Orton to take the title, and I'm going to explain why. So Orton is going to take the title, do his thing. He's going to be, top dog of Raw for a bit, top heel. And they're going to do a redemption story with Drew, where at some point, I don't know if it'll be maybe by the Royal Rumble, maybe they save it for WrestleMania. I think Drew will eventually get his win back and become a 2-time WWE champion, and we get an even longer bounce back story for Drew. Now, that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong on that regard, but I don't think the Orton-Drew stuff ends here regardless of who wins or loses. But I think the heel taking the belt and Drew needing to get it back and do the chase. The chase with the babyface is always, I don't want to say it's more interesting than when they run with it, but WWE loves their chasing baby faces, and I could see them doing that, and that's why I'm picking Randy Orton to win the WWE Championship in this main event. What say you guys?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna think Randy Orton's gonna win. My only other thing is I think Retribution plays a big part in it, whether it's at the end or in the middle of the match.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Drew because of Retribution. So I don't see why not reveal that the biggest pay-per-view too. So it's for me, same thing as Brandon, but
they got one thing going for them. It's gonna be the first pay-per-view at the Thunderdome, so they got a lot of shit they can fuck up in there. So I suppose expect them to do something. Hopefully it's just something. I don't know. I found does it just seem kind of lame and geekish, these guys just beating shit up with masks on and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Did anybody find it kind of underwhelming at the start? Like, it better be some real good people behind those masks, because I'm not sold yet.
I mean, if you go off rumors, it looks like a very, very heavy faction. Like, the rumors are Gargano, Ciampa. I mean, Vanessa Bourne really didn't do a lot in NXT. Chelsea Green, Dijakovic. And then I read that there's 2 Mae Young Classic winners in there too. I never heard of them, but
Well,
2 winners. Though that's Kyrie Sane and Tony
No, not
Storm.
2 winners. Like the
two
two,
people
they were in the Mae Young Classic.
They were in the tournament. But anyway, regardless, it depends on who's
Okay.
behind the masks. But I thought it was kind of lame when it started, and just like Michael
Yeah,
Cole going,
I'm-
"Oh, it's
I'm not a big fan either.
Retribution. What are they? Oh,
Yeah.
are they actually here?" Oh, and then they just like have fake chainsaws or whatever. Maybe they were real. I don't know.
And you know what it could be?
It was kind of lame.
They might be. It might be all NXT guys, and it might be an NXT versus the main roster. Like, hey, we're
They
better
did
than
that
you.
for Survivor Series. You know, it's like, yeah. Maybe it'll drive some interest, but I don't know. I'm not sold yet. Depends on who the guys are, what their motivations are, who they target, like fully for a program going forward, not just fucking shit up for fucking shit up. And I need to give it more time. I need to know who's behind it and what their true motivations are, and maybe then it'll grow on me. But for right now, I'm not entirely sold. And by the way, did the hacker just get involved with these guys? Is that what the hacker was all about, or did they just drop?
Yes.
The hack? No, they
the
buried. They threw away the hacker. It was supposed to be Mustafa, but they just stopped the hacking stuff.
Or is the hacker is the leader and it led to Retribution? I don't know. I just remember the hacker.
Yeah,
being the
No,
thing,
he's just not relevant.
and then they just dropped that shit, eh? Oh well.
They did. Like, there's articles about it that they like. Even Mustafa at least said like, yeah, it was me, but they just didn't want to push forward.
Yeah, he just ended up on Raw. It's like, what the fuck? Anyway, so that be our predictions for the SummerSlam show. And it takes place tomorrow night. Starts at main card starts at 7:00 p.m. Eastern. We will certainly all be watching. And now I leave the plug line open to you, gentlemen. Plug whatever you want if you got it, or if not, just throw the reins back to me. Up to you guys.
The usual. Keep listening to Apron Bumps. It's getting good every time we start that record button.
I agree.
Yeah. So just keep listening. This is the only content I'll be making. So for a bit until I get back home. So until then, who knows it? Gabe knows it.
Brandon, the floor is yours unless you're gonna rebound it back to me. It's up to
No,
you.
I'm going to rebound it back to you. Thank you for the basketball pun, though. I really like that one.
I always make sure to throw one at you because you always pick it up, right?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Anyway, you can listen to us on anchor.fm/Brayster, and from there, Anchor themselves actually, they syndicate our program across these platforms. So if you listen to these platforms, we are also on Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Copy RSS, and my personal favorite of all, that being Spotify. We are available on all those platforms to listen, either streaming-wise or to download. It is entirely up to you. And also, if you happen to watch the video form of this podcast on YouTube, which we also upload, and if you enjoyed what you've seen and heard, give the Brayster YouTube channel a nice little subscribe button. It is always appreciated. So from me to Gabe to Brandon to SummerSlam weekend, we bid you adieu, and we're going to Spanish fly on out of here. Talk to you later, folks.